What's going on, Mr. RapNerd? And I just got out of seeing Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, and this movie is a direct follow-up to 2023's Dead Reckoning, where Ethan failed to stop Gabriel from taking over what's called the Entity, which is an AI entity that is trying to destroy the world. So here he is following that up to once again save the world. And man, I can definitely say I went into this movie very apprehensive because I really was not a fan of the Dead Reckoning like that, even though in my review I was kind of forcing myself to like things about it. But having come out of it and thinking about that movie, over the past 2 years, I didn't like it like that. So I was a little bit like, we'll see what this one does. And I'm actually glad to say that I loved The Final Reckoning. I think it is a way better movie than Dead Reckoning personally. Now, the thing about this movie is, yes, it's Ethan Hunt and his team again trying to stop the world from ending like we've seen in all of these movies. They want to stop a bomb from blowing up, missiles from being fired. None of that stuff is new. But I can say out of all of the movies, this one feels the most real. Like, the amount of tension and focus on the fear of the end of the world in this movie makes it like feel very somber and realistic. And I found myself clutching my seat because of how it was presented. This movie is 100% serious, and of course all of the movies are serious in their own regard, but they have slight bits of humor here and there amongst the team. But this movie doesn't have that much humor at all. There's a few instances here and there, but it takes it so serious, and there is a level of dread like I've never even seen in any of these movies, and that kept me glued to the screen and hooked to what I was watching. Now, to start off, there is a lot of dialogue, more than action. But for me, that's not a negative because of the way the dialogue is handled. Yeah, it's expositional things, but it's moving pieces to make the story work because of how much they have to double down on what exactly is going on. And for me, the exposition and dialogue was less techy than the Dead Reckoning. Like, in that movie, it was really them trying to figure out the entity, where did it come from, what did it want to do, how to stop it, and it got real technological to a point where I was kind of bored, like, and zoning out as they were talking. Here, it's not that. A lot of the dialogue is about the effects of what the entity is going to do and what it wants to do and how can we stop it. And the reality of different ways to stop it are also catastrophic on both ends. So it's a lot of planning of like, well, we can do this, but if we do this, this happens. If we don't do this, this is still going to happen. But even if we do this, we're still fucked. And that, to me, is where the level of dread and tension comes. There are moments that, like, got me really in my emotions because of how the characters are come to the realization of just how screwed they are. This movie is a very dreadful film in the sense of the heightened danger. And of course, Tom Cruise is back playing Ethan and yet again doing his own stunts and also doing some of the craziest shit that I've ever seen anybody do on camera. I'm telling you, they sold that plane scene in the trailers, but man, seeing it play out on the big screen was simply insane. This is easily one of those moments in the movie that you're going to remember in the franchise, like some of them before it. And I'll also mention that we have another sequence that is similar with the amount of danger and dread as him climbing the Khalifa, or like him in that water bank that has that like spinning motor that he has to get the safe out of, or in the first movie with him on the tightrope in the submarine scene. That sequence, oh my God. I was sweating heavy, gripping my hands, knuckles turning white because of that sequence. Now, I just tell everybody this, it was highly effective on me because I am terrified of really large bodies of water. I don't know why. I've always been scared of like the ocean, the deep sea. So when he goes in this submarine to get something, Jesus Christ, I was in there just like, that's going to be one that I forever remember and will always be tension-filled for me. Now, moving on to the other characters, as we know that this group of Ethan's team has kind of changed out, and we're not with all of the OGs like we were in other films. You know, we have Captain Carter. Her name is blowing my mind right now. I want to say Haley, but I don't think that's her name. But we have Captain Carter. Of course, Benji is back. Luther is back. And we have 2 new people as well added to the crew. I forgot what her name is. She played Mantis, and she was in a Dead Reckoning, and she speaks French. And one of the agents who was running with the government to track down Ethan is part of the squad too. And I think that this collective worked. These group of people feel like an actual team because everybody has specificities that they're great at. So it makes the entire team an asset, especially being able to do different things. And they played on those perfectly. I swear I'm not trying to be disrespectful by calling her Agent Carter, but I cannot for the life of me remember her real name or character name. I am terrible with names, but I just love that they actually gave her a reason for being here. Though I'm still upset that they killed Elsa off because I think that she was just a super dope character, and then the way she went out I thought was kind of whack. Her being here lets me know that she's not just an Elsa replacement, because she's not like her at all. Of course, she has her skills with pickpocketing, and I think that that's why she's here, is because she's a quick thinker and she's precise at it as well, even though she's not trained like Elsa or knows anywhere the amount of things that she knows. She's a good addition to the team. Of course, you have the assassin who's now part of his team, who, again, she's an assassin, so she plays the muscle of the crew in a sense because she knows how to do so many things, and many times she is the muscle in some of these sequences, and that muscle gets kind of spread to the government agent who now is working for his team too, and he kind of plays like a bodyguard in a sense because of his physicality. And Angela Bassett as the president, phenomenal. Every scene that she just is in, she crushes. There's a sequence when she makes a certain decision that everybody in the room doesn't agree with, and she is just like not having none of that shit. Like, they're like, why did you do that? Why didn't you tell me? And she's like, I just did. Dismissed. And even all of the government people surrounding her do such a good job of pushing that energy of tension and fear. Now, the only character that I still think is not that good is Gabriel, and for me, this movie doesn't make up for him in the first one, but I think that Macquarie and them got the memo, because there's definitely less of him in this movie, and the focus is more on the entity than him. They kind of actually put him in a position to just be a conduit for the entity, so we don't see him as much, even though he's still annoying as fuck, and we have no connection to him because he was just thrown in there. But I can say he was tolerable because he wasn't in the movie as much. And you can't talk about the Mission Impossible franchise without referencing the action. I think all of it was stellar. There are enough action set pieces in here that kept me fully invested. Again, the plane sequence, and there's some other really good hand-to-hand action sequences that I enjoyed as well, that I can tell Macquarie will look back at Fallout and says, you know what, we need something like that here, so let me take a little bit of this and put it there. So not to say that there's anything as great as the Fallout, but there were notes taken to put those in the film. And the last thing I'll say about this film is, if this is the final movie in the franchise, which I hope not, because I really like this new team and I would like to see them do more things, but this movie definitely feels like the amalgamation of all of the films in one. And I love what it did. It brought things back from the first movie and made it a plot point in the movie, as well as other things. Like, there's one component from Mission Impossible 3 that is a direct connection with all of these things that happen, and it's done so smartly the way it's written, because there's nothing to detract from how they spun something from that movie. I know that sounds weird to say, but there's a moment when they present some information and I'm like, oh shit, that actually works. And it plays on more of the themes that Ethan has to deal with from his past. So I really enjoyed how they tied everything up in a nice bow to have a great send-off if they choose not to make any more movies. I think this is a perfect conclusion to the series, so I'm going to stop there before I spoil anything. But I absolutely love this movie. If you've seen The Final Reckoning, let me know in the comments what you thought. What was your favorite sequence? Mine would have to be, I really like the submarine scene, and there is something that happens within another submarine that I like. I also really love the plane sequence. There are a lot of sequences in here that I like, and this movie provides moments for the franchise. So, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe, of course. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.